And I know that guy up there in the blue shirt.
Mother.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I got sidetracked. I just got back. Dad talked me into shooting a couple of games of pool.
Oh, how'd that go? Did he take you for a couple dollars, or are there stakes involved anymore?
You know what? It gets personal enough even without stakes. Yesterday, pool is such a funny game. Yesterday, I was terrible. Today, I was unbeatable.
It really is amazing. I mean, you're both terrible pool players by any measure, but the first time, Chuck, that I went over there to visit them in their new facility, they took me down to the pool hall, and my mother, with her incredibly arthritic paws, I broke, right? And
right.
She sank 8 balls in a row. She hit every low ball in.
Really?
7, right. It was unbelievable. Like, when you see her approach the table, they're like, she's not even going to hit the cue ball. There's no way. Holding it like that, she's stabbing at it like she's holding a spear.
I'm not that bad.
Mom, you have no technique at all. But the
Well,
balls
I
just
was
kept
really
going
good.
in. Mom, I don't know if I ever told you this, but Chuck and I, when I was living in L.A., or at least visiting a lot more, we used to go to this place. We called it the Trumpet Palace. I forget I think, was it like North Hollywood Billiards or something?
North Hollywood Billiards, yeah. It's now gone, yeah.
This was a place filled with pool tables, obviously, and it was filled mostly with Mexican laborers. And they would come in, and they would shoot pool, and they were really great. You know, we liked being there with them. But Chuck and I were, 2 of these things are not like the others. We were strangers in a strange land. And the jukebox was full of these, like, Mexican marching songs. And so we'd go in there for 2 hours at a time, drink our beer, shoot our pool, and listen to trumpets and trombones. And it was just the craziest, funnest thing to do. I kind of missed the old Trumpet Palace.
It was great, but what you're forgetting is that the jukebox was very eclectic. It had all this Mexican music, but it also had stuff like Prince.
Yeah.
And so we would always try to get into the jukebox and drop in, a couple of dollars, and we would play Prince really loud, and a song
you don't know this, Mom, but Prince had a big, big hit. And the title of the song, which is also the chorus, is "You Sexy Motherfucker," right? And he really, it's a real jam. And so you got to imagine, Chuck and I we're shooting pool, we're making friends, we're drinking beer with all these Mexican laborers, and we've been listening to this trumpet music for hours on end. And then all of a sudden, Prince comes with, "You sexy motherfucker." And then
Sexy
it goes,
shaking that ass. Shaking that ass.
It's a ridiculous song. And these guys, they drop their pool cues and look at us. Like, who in the hell let them in?
Those were good times.
Anyway, Mom, you're the guest. What do you want to talk about?
Are we? Have we started?
Oh, yeah. We're deep in it.
Oh, and you can say that word?
No. I argue that we should. Chuck says we shouldn't. So what we do is, Chuck bleeps it. It's kind of like, do you remember that time on Dirty Jobs? I was on that shark research vessel, and I threw up in the middle of a stand-up.
Oh, and they blurred it out.
Right. It was one of the first times I really felt I was losing my mind with the network. I was so proud of the fact that I finished my stand-up.
It was amazing.
Granted, I vomited in the middle of it, but nobody had ever vomited on the Discovery Channel before, and they didn't know what to do. Like, they went all the way to standards and practices, and they're like, we can't cut around it, and it's a pivotal stand-up, so we can't cut it out. So how do we handle this? So they pixelated my vomit, which just made it look worse.
I remember, but everybody knew what it was. What else comes out of your mouth with that force?
Fair point.
They did the same thing with all of the penises on all of the artificial insemination shows. It literally went to the top of the Standards and Practices Department, and they decided, okay, we're not going to pixelate the vulvas or the vaginas on any of the animals, but the penises are just too much.
I remember that show, but they weren't human. So they should really have shown them. Everybody knows what a horse looks like.
Well, not
Penis and all.
everybody. I'll tell you, it's very well, as you wrote somewhat famously in your book, it's a very humbling experience for a man.
I just want to say this is a heck of a Christmas episode so far. I just want to say we're really knocking the holiday spirit out of the park.
And I compared them to the mushrooms that sprout in the manure pile overnight in damp weather.